I'm starting to think that the world's gone mad. I mean, the nonsense that we put up with. And then on to the next scandal like nothing happened. When are we going to grow up and hold people accountable for their actions? I think what frustrates me even more is the fact that we are so willing to discuss the rot in our society, and then we get overwhelmed by the next scandal and left perplexed, broken, and dejected. It's time, my people. It's time to stand up and let our voices be heard, because as you can see, they really don't care about us. I spoke to financial activist Henning Melber, who is currently based in Germany and has been keeping a keen eye on developments back home here in Nam.
Unfortunately, the alarm bells ring more often in recent times than they happened to do so before. Maybe because investigative journalism is more alert, that we learn more about shady deals than we learned before. Maybe the dire economic situation makes us more aware of what is going on and makes us even more critical and embarrassed and upset over shady deals, where many of the political office bearers seem to misunderstand their public duties as pocketing into their private gains, which is very unfortunate. And we had only last week this case with Toby Aupindi, who is a member of the highest ranking bodies in the governing party, who was convicted by a charge of corruption, and where the Secretary General of the party felt that it was unfair and that this is actually not a case big enough to merit any political consequences. And as I said earlier to another journalist, it's a bit like saying you are either pregnant or not pregnant. That means you are either corrupt or not corrupt, but you can't be a little bit pregnant. So what does she mean with being a little bit corrupt? Not corrupt enough to be punished? I think that's a very serious indication about the moral decay we are witnessing today. And the other most spectacular case, of course, which is much debated in the public now, understandably so, is the land deal with this Russian oligarch, Zardarov, where the government says, and that was the latest I followed this morning, where the government says, well, that decision was not prohibited by law. Now, that is a very funny definition of good governance, because it means as long as something is not explicitly prohibited, you can do it. I think they are losing sight of moral, ethical criteria and fundamental principles when it comes to good governance, understood as serve the public interest in the sense of serving the ordinary people. And I think this is something our government over decades now has completely lost sight of. We are still in this mode, you owe us because we liberated you. I'm sorry, that's not the oath political office bearers are taking. They are taking an oath to serve the best interest of the state, meaning also the best interest of the ordinary citizens. And there was a third occasion where I thought it's a very worrying indicator. It was more on an anecdotal basis, but you might remember that a couple of weeks ago, an honorable minister, while sitting in parliament, was visiting a dating site. And when the journalists, in fulfillment of their duties, critically reported about that, the Speaker of Parliament did not reprimand the Member of Parliament, but reprimanded the media and the journalists as if they are poking their nose into a matter which should be none of their business. Well, this is exactly the business investigative journalism should take care of.
I asked him what we as citizens can actually do about this state of affairs.
Speaking out, not be intimidated, dismiss those ridiculous claims that we owe them. There is nothing we owe them. They are elected by the ordinary people to act in the interest of the ordinary people. And if government and the governing party don't do so, they need to be punished.